Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Wednesday to have a happy hump day and to talk all the pro wrestling news the past 24 hours. It's our very good friend, Brian Wohl. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Great to be here. How are you feeling after Revolution weekend?
Oh man, maybe I'll talk about it in the future, but I had like some stuff come up in my personal life where I had to leave AEW Revolution and fly to California last second. So I feel like I've been in a labyrinth of travel for 72 hours. I'm only just now kind of coming out of the labyrinth. Revolution was, another missed flight connection again. I'm going to be a happy camper, dude. That was rough. I've never missed a flight. First time. So,
well, I'm glad that airline employee was able to help you out. I was following your story on Twitter.
Yeah, it's quite a tale, man. Quite a tale. So anyway, this isn't a travel show. I'm not Anthony Bourdain, sadly. Rest in peace. We have a lot of great content to get to here today. Later on in the show, if you're listening to us in audio form, you're going to hear the full audio from CM Punk's emotional AEW Revolution Scrum. Biwo, did you see this thing?
I did. Did you cry too?
I didn't cry, but I did. It was. I don't want to say it was uncomfortable or weird, but it was just very powerful. Like being in a room and he's CM Punk and he's breaking down and you can feel that emotion. So I hope it translates here today in the audio. You're going to be able to hear that full thing here later today. If you want to just watch the video, you want to go watch CM Punk bawl his eyes out talking about AFI and bleeding and dog collar matches, head over to our YouTube channel. We've got the full media scrum over there right now. And you can also watch me hammer Tony Khan at 2 o'clock in the morning about Ring of Honor distribution. It's a great watch. It's a really good watch. So
I loved it. I thought it was so fun. I was nerding out all over it, man. And you got a great angle, so we got to really see their faces. It was very cool. Yeah. And I was so surprised at the amount of emotion that everyone was going through after that show. I think it also speaks to how great that show was. I really loved that show. I had so much fun. And I don't think this was your favorite match, but my favorite match was the Danielson-Moxley match. I loved that.
It was weird. I mean, things translate differently live than on TV, right? Yeah. And, when I'm in the building, you can kind of feel the emotion and where the audience is at, maybe a little bit better than we were watching on TV. I thought Danielson and Moxley was good, but the problem was everybody was just so burned out from that CM Punk MJF match. And you follow, because I saw somebody wrote, I wish I knew the author, but there was a post going around right now talking about if you liked MJF's and CM Punk's dog collar match, guess what? You liked a death match. And kind of telling people, for all of you that are oh, I'm not a deathmatch person, dude, if you watch that, you're a deathmatch person and you enjoyed it. I think it's a fair point, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying deathmatch wrestling. It's been around for a long time. No. It's fun sometimes. There's a place for everything. There's a place for comedy. There's a place for death.
I agree. But the thing is, what you're doing is you're taking a death match, and then I think there was one match in between that and then Moxley Danielson. And I wish I knew the order. It all happened so fast. But it's a slower paced WWE styled bout with a little bit more. It was a snugger WWE bout, but it was paced very much like a WWE bout. And the audience just after watching a death match, dude, it's just different. The gears to get there. I've been to every major AEW show. I've seen Moxley. I saw Moxley's debut. I saw Danielson's debut. And I've seen these guys get great reactions. And this show, I thought the first 3 quarters of that match, the audience was really flat. And as much as I did like the bout, I just was kind of taken out of it by where the crowd was at with it. So,
sorry about my pup there.
Sounds like I have a detractor in the background barking down my door. So
yeah, I gotta say, the television production aspect of it was amazing because they had tremendous camera angles showing, the impact of those strikes. and also commentary was on fire for that match. You know, it
Good.
was one
Hey,
of
I
those
gotta.
synergistic experiences.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about Revolution here throughout the show. We're going to talk AEW stuff right up top, which again, now the dog seems to be excited about AEW. That's great. So we have CM Punk's AEW Revolution audio later. We're going to talk the news at the end of the show. We're going to dive into the mailbag. We're going to talk about Hangman Page. Who do you want to see him feud next? Next? That's actually probably a great way for us to pivot back into some AEW Revolution talk. By the way, before I say the tagline that takes us to the news break, I gotta of course remind everybody. Chat room is open. You want to be part of the show? Wherever you're at, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, you can be like Leo Pereira here. Happy Hump Day. Adam Yarborough. Hello, Nick and Brian. That's really nice. Who do we have here? Andrew Cormos. Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. So you can leave a nice message, but what I prefer you do is leave your thoughts on what we're talking about, because then you're a part of the conversation and we'll bring you here onto the show. All right. All that out of the way. It's time for news you can use. News that will leave a bruise. So we're going to start off here with the news that I started my day off with. We have a lot of big news that broke on the site today. I just didn't kind of put these in any particular order. So we'll start with the thing that today has been building towards. Jeff Hardy. He is now officially a free agent. His non-compete with WWE is expired. He's free to sign with anyone he wants, appear with any product that he wants. Tonight, of course, is Dynamite. There has been this AHFO board meeting.
Yes.
Did I get the initials right? Okay, sorry.
I think there's a W in there.
Okay, so Q, 7 Qs. So they're going to do this Andrade Hardy family ownership group board meeting tonight. And one would assume, which is a word I don't use that often because I don't like that word, but one would assume that this is going to be where they bring Jeff in. Board meeting explodes with the Hardys on one side, Andrade, and I guess like Isaiah Cassidy maybe on the other side, right?
I would like to see something like that. I mean, they've been hinting at Jeff coming for the last, I think, month now. It's been so fun. I don't know if you saw Being the Elite. I know you've been so busy, but this week's Being the Elite.
Right.
Matt Hardy had a transition to his old Hardy Boys tight t-shirt, baggy jeans, gear. It's been really cute. I can't wait to see the brothers back together. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of seems like a given, right? You know, I see here Lance Davis Jr. in the chat. He's asking, is it true about the report going around that WWE might sue Jeff Hardy? Lance, I don't know what that is. Feel free to tweet me, link me to whatever it is that you're reading at Nick_Hausman. Happy to look at it. I would guess that what you're talking about is how Jeff was caught on camera saying, I'm going to AEW while still under WWE contract technically, which, you know, could open up some kind of contract tampering door. You know, if you go back and you watch that video where he said that, it doesn't really seem like the guy knew he was maybe on camera when he said it. It seems like he got kind of, you know, buzzkilled. Man, that's an old reference. And I think that I don't know that would be admissible in court. Like, I don't know that you can. I mean, it's proof,
I think it depends
guess,
on what
that he had
state it
intent.
happened in.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. So,
thing.
yeah, so I don't know. We're not lawyers. But thanks for bringing it up, Lance. Tweet me, tag me, let me know what you're reading. I'm happy to take a look at it. And, of course, Leo here. Hardys are all elite tonight. Well, and yeah, you know, we have Headlock Heel drop the family office group and just have the Hardys. Here's what's going to happen is, like, Matt and Jeff are going to go away. And then Andrade is going to be left with this company of individuals to manage. And I honestly think it's maybe – is this like the first time there's been actual interest in this stable? Right? Like, what is Matt going to do when the Hardys leave? Does this become more compelling on the other side that Matt has left this kind of ragtag group that Andrade is now heading?
I hope so. It seems like the group's been getting a lot of looks recently. Was it Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy have had some singles matches that have been pretty high profile. And man, they really tore it up at Revolution. You know, I thought they had such a great match with Sting. So, you know, I think Tony Khan is sold on these guys, and he wants to do something with them.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like early Dark Order when nobody really knew what they were. They were just like a bunch of guys that were like kind of an amorphous blob, and they were getting kind of rejected by the fans. And then the right piece fell into place with Brody, and the whole dynamic, the whole thing changed, right? So, like, I'm kind of, I guess, I wasn't anticipating making that correlation, but I could see tonight, you know, being maybe like a jump start for a moment like that. Obviously, it's not the same thing. You're not bringing in somebody to like lead this group or anything. Andrade will be left as the definitive leader, one would, you know, wager coming out of this. And maybe this is what it takes to make this feel like a cohesive group that the audience can start to really kind of invest in, because they've been dumped, for lack of a better word, by Matt Hardy, you know?
I mean, AEW's only been around a little bit of time, but one thing that's been really nice is most of their things that have been a wait and see thing, they've delivered on.
Yeah.
And if something isn't working, they bail. You know, they change it up.
Totally.
And it's
totally.
been pretty successful. They've earned the benefit of the doubt from me, I can say.
Well, I have a couple good tweets here I want to bring up real quick. Andrew Cormo saying Hardy's versus Private Party. There was a follow-up here on Twitch from The Worst Gamer. I'd like to see a Private Party Hardy Boys program come out of this.
Oh, yeah.
I think, like I said, maybe it's Andrade and Isaiah Cassidy. Of course, Private Party makes a lot more sense. And yeah, those teams, what a great introductory program to get the Hardys into the AEW mix. It doesn't need to be about the title. There's like real tension built in here again from like Matt. One would, wager again, separating himself from this group, and boom, you set it up. It's going to be bangers. Private Party doesn't need to go over here. The Hardys get heated up, and everybody's better off for it. I think that's a great idea. Totally.
I feel like Private Party and Andrade are like three of the guys that are the best at enhancing their opponents in AEW. And I think that's kind of like what this stable is becoming, is you can put them with anybody and they will make their opponents look like stars, and they will make those baby faces shine.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to say thank you to Zach Harry here for the super chat. Shout out to Nick for his question to Tony Khan at the Media Scrum. Could recognize your voice from anywhere. Hey, thank you. I'm very loud. I'm not as loud as some. Some people scream questions at Tony. They gave me a microphone this time. So anyway, we'll bounce around here. Let's talk a little bit about Tony Khan. So Tony Khan was on Busted Open earlier. He announced that tonight on Dynamite, we're going to see Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson team for the very first time. I don't think he announced a tag team. In my head, I was like, maybe it was going to be the Hardys, but I think this Private Party thing makes a lot more sense. What are you expecting here? What do you think goes down when Mox and Danielson try to tag tonight?
I really would like to see a couple of double team moves. I have no idea what kind of double team moves these guys would do together, but they're going to come up with something fun. Danielson and Kane was such a great team in WWE. I feel like he's going to find something really fun with Moxley. Both of these guys just wrestle with so much joy. And you add William Regal to the mix. Oh my goodness. There's going to be...
So is Regal in their corner? That was going to be my follow-up here, right? Do you think that we see Regal do the Tully Blanchard bit?
How is he not? Like, we've got to have Regal. Like, I was talking with a friend the other day after Revolution, and he was trying to figure out, how does somebody, become like a super heel? What could you really do in AEW right now? And I feel like whoever ends up beating up William Regal and really doing something to Regal is going to make them the most hated man in the company. So
I don't know how physical Regal can get, though. He's got really bad neck issues, and look, I've read some. I forget the interview. Sure. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess he was taking bumps down in developmental, showing people how to do stuff. So, the body is there. The spirit is willing. The body is soft and moist. Whatever the line is from Zach Brannigan in Futurama. But with Regal, man, it's I'm gonna bounce over here to the Ring of Honor stuff too. We'll double back and we'll get to some of the other stuff. But obviously what Zach's referring to here, I'm guessing in the media scrums where I asked Tony about what I alluded to earlier, was the Ring of Honor stuff. What's going on with Ring of Honor? That's not what Tony wanted to talk about. He made that very clear, but it's what I wanted to talk about. So,
and he really had some things out there. That NXT 1.0 versus 2.0 thing was, oh goodness. I was like, oh wow. Well, there it is, isn't it? Isn't it all just right there?
He totally said, way more than he expected to say on that call, and it was great. But yeah, so I see Anthony Y here saying maybe Regal an authority figure in AEW. Now, this is where I'm starting to get interested in where Tony's head's at, Bryan Danielson's head's at. Where do these all start to kind of commingle? Because it's a very fluid, cool web we're dealing with right now. Because if you want to go the NXT 1.0 vibe with the Ring of Honor reboot, who better to be your authority figure, not for AEW, than William Regal, right? You just run it back. Right?
And also, you look at all of the inductees into ROH's first Hall of Fame class, all of them, their favorite guy is William Regal. They all, that's the one that they want to be the keeper of the brand. And, you know,
right.
Of course, why not? I love that guy.
Well, and the thing too is like Danielson being the Hall of Famer now in the Ring of Honor. That's obviously a nice tie-in, but the want of Bryan Danielson right now, his desire is to train and recruit and make better young wrestlers. Right? He has said that out loud, and he said it before the ROH buyout was announced. And so, like, that's the thing is like if Danielson's goal is to be a proper mentor to like great young talent. Now you have this entire system that Tony's going to get going to develop that young talent. Bryan is obviously a respected Hall of Famer in that space. His buddy William Regal might be calling the shots. I thought it was very interesting that Bryan Danielson said, but I'm not in Ring of Honor. I'm in AEW when he laid out Christopher Daniels in the main event this past Wednesday night. I don't know where his head's at with wanting to do stuff with the ROH, and I don't know how it all looks, but there just is a lot of dots there that seem like pretty easy to connect, you know?
I think what's also brilliant about this move is that it gives wrestlers a future plan. After they're done with the ring, they could go work in ROH as a coach or something like that. WWE has always had that for their wrestlers, and now AEW has that for their guys. And with the emotion that Punk spoke about Ring of Honor, I don't know how you can't see him being a backstage figure for Ring of Honor once his in-ring career is done. You know? And, you see that this is like the dream for a lot of these guys. And Tony Khan has now made a space for them as well. So this is quite thrilling. And with him saying that NXT 1.0 thing, all these things seem like, well, gee, I guess that's what we're going to get. And how fun will that be?
Hey,
I'm thrilled.
Hey, and Leo,
I love that you asked about the distribution stuff.
Yeah, well, Leo Pereira here saying Regal and Triple H running ROH. Wouldn't that be something, you know? I guess Hunter's technically out there getting the band back. Hey, Hunter, Tony's getting the NXT band back together, man. You're the lead singer. How are we going to do with Metallica without James Hetfield? Come on, man. You gotta come back. So, anyway. Thank you, Leo. So with the Ring of Honor news, SE Scoops actually here with some news that made the run sheet. They're saying about Ring of Honor that executives are expecting the deal with Tony Khan to be completed around the first week in April, though it is possible the deal could be closed sooner. Sources have also described the deal as having been done in reverse due to how quickly the deal came together. It was also confirmed that certain details are still being hammered out as the deal is being completed, which seemed pretty obvious from Tony's comments in the scrum and why he didn't want to say a whole lot, because, again, it sounds like he's still kind of negotiating this deal, even though the deal is done in principle. Sources told SE Scoops that ROH employees do not believe that Tony Khan's regime will be interested in hiring them once the sale is complete. They have thus been encouraged to explore new career opportunities and to speak to HR department of Sinclair Broadcasting, the soon-to-be former owner of Ring of Honor. Severance packages being considered, couldn't be confirmed. Our current ROH management is unsure if they're going to release a statement on the matter once the sale is complete. Also being discussed is the future of Honor Club, Ring of Honor's streaming service, which did come up in the scrums as well as we were talking about distribution. SE Scoops was told that a call between ROH and AEW has been set up to review the streaming services setup and whether it will be included in Khan's purchase of Ring of Honor. Subscribers will be kept in the loop regarding any potential changes to Honor Club. All right, so a lot to get to there from Ring of Honor. Is there anything in particular you want to dive into first, B-Will?
Well, I'm very fascinated with all this streaming stuff because Punk
Yeah,
commented on it pretty heavily and emotionally during
right,
his media scrum. Uh, he's very concerned about how wrestlers will be paid based off of streaming. And as we talked about last week, HBO has already agreed to start streaming live sports, and they
right,
are in partnership with Warner, who is in partnership with AEW. So this is something that is coming down the line. So Tony Khan is
right.
probably starting to look at how he can form some sort of payment system for wrestlers because that's clearly a concern of their top guys and getting paid
Yep.
royalties for past shows. Now, Honor Club didn't do that. They didn't pay wrestlers off of that stuff. So I
No.
think it's kind of interesting that Punk was like so disparaging of WWE Network, whereas Honor Club, they pretty much operated the same as WWE Network. So
Yeah.
this
There's,
will be
it's
something to
interesting you
look
bring.
at.
So a couple things. I'll take what you just said there from a couple angles. First of all, Punk comments about how wrestlers never got paid for anything that got thrown over to the network, right? Um, Years ago, like over a decade ago, I was actually working for a few months with a very eccentric man on a project called Giggity.tv. It was like the first live streaming site. The guy went out and bought like old security cameras that knew how to live feed HD well, and was setting them up in music venues. And it was just like, I'll put the camera in, you flip this switch, you're live streaming your stuff online. It was actually a really smart model. Did not have the infrastructure to support it. Thought it was a great idea. But what we were doing with Giggity to ensure that musicians, because you could watch the show live, and then of course there were the replays, and you could buy the replays, to make sure the musicians would get paid for the replays and the live streams, you would basically create like a user profile, and you would get attached to the video. And every like time the monetization occurred on the video, you were getting a percentage of the replay and the live stream, with like half going to the venue and the rest being like, it was like half to the venue, like 25% kickback to us, and then the rest was divvied up amongst the performers. And it wasn't a lot of money at the time, but it is possible, I know firsthand, to do what Punk is describing right now. It is a complete possible thing to do, and I hope they do it. And second thing, as I'm rambling here, with the buyout of Ring of Honor, and we were kind of just spitballing last week at this time, all about this stuff. But the Honor Club thing, I've never had anybody really complain to me about how Honor Club worked. Like the people that were Honor Club subscribers, I never heard like a whole bunch of like upheaval and wrestling. And feel free to correct me from in the comment section if you're like, I'm an Honor Club subscriber and here that is what I did not like about it. But if you have a functional like WWE Network type entity that you've now just come into possession of, rather than spending a bunch of money to build out your own AEW streaming service, you could just take the skeleton, I would think, of Honor Club, clean it up, drop your AEW content on top of the Ring of Honor content, and boom, 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 you have your own AEW streaming service, which I think is not out of the question here, because as again, we were in the wee hours of the morning talking to Tony about distribution. He seemed pretty coy about Warner Media jumping on top of getting together the AEW streaming service. I think there was some line I tweeted out that was like, it's out of my hands, it's out of my control, or I'm low man on the totem pole when it comes to making that decision. So I felt he was kind of distancing himself a little bit, like, don't expect us to be on HBO Max tomorrow. But maybe in the back of his head, now that I'm kind of processing a little bit more, he knows, well, hey, I own a streaming service now. Maybe I don't need to rely on Papa Warner to take care of this for me. So interesting times, man. Strange days. Strange days for sure.
They're a hot property. They are a hot property. They have a lot of great content, and it's clear that WWE stuff is doing well on Peacock. So I don't know how Warner isn't looking at AEW. They absolutely must.
Yeah. So that's the Ring of Honor talk. A couple other things from AEW before we'll real quickly dive into some WWE talk in the mailbag. Fightful here. Back-to-back updates from Fightful. First one, Miro has signed a new 4-year contract extension with AEW. He'll be there to 2026. The longest extension we've heard of any talent so far in AEW. Maybe the only person that is currently contracted until 2026. I don't know. But a great pickup. It's sad he's injured right now, but dude has got all the charisma. And maybe now that he knows that this is home, maybe CJ, maybe Lana's in the wings. Maybe we finally get that, pairing that a lot of people have wanted. Who knows?
Maybe. It's been really great watching him on social media. He looks so happy right now. And so I look forward to him. I look forward to him coming back on TV. It's so good to see so many of these guys who were kind of embattled during their time in WWE just look so happy.
Yeah. Well, also in AEW World, from Fightful, AEW officials apparently changed the finish to Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker multiple times in the weeks leading up to Revolution. No word on why they went back and forth, but they are apparently setting up a rematch between Rosa and Baker for the St. Patrick's Day Slam edition of Dynamite on March 16th, which is going to take place in Rosa's hometown of San Antonio. This week's Dynamite is going to feature Rosa versus Hirsch, with the winner earning the next title shot from Baker. I don't know how I feel about this one because the AEW women's division, while improving, still has a kind of stagnancy to it. And I think the moment was there to do it at Revolution. You didn't have any more titles change hands on the card. Running it back again, even if it is in her hometown, I could see AEW fans hammering this as there's nobody else, right? Like Britt has literally nobody else to work with. We're going back to Thunder Rosa one more time. It just feels off, right? So anyway.
Yeah, it was weird. I've enjoyed their previous matches, but the match at Revolution felt odd on television. I'm sure it felt odd in person. It just something was off, and it's clear that maybe this now that we have this report that they were changing the finish a few times, that probably had some sort of effect on it because these are both excellent performers, and things just are a little off here. Can they recover? Of course they can.
Sure.
These are tremendous performers. This is a tremendous show, and they can totally. They're just setting themselves up for a little bit of a more difficult recovery. This is tough.
Yeah.
They're in a little bit of a corner here, and AEW has been pretty good about not booking themselves into a corner. But right now, they are in a corner with this feud.
Well, let's switch gears here. We'll go over to WWE World. Talk about some booking that I actually do really like. Last night on NXT, Dolph Ziggler won the NXT Championship in a triple threat match with Ciampa and Breaker. He pinned Ciampa to win the title. So Breaker didn't take the pin, stays, I think, undefeated. A lot of heat for him to go take this title off the dastardly Dolph Ziggler. Masterstroke. I thought this was chef's kiss. This is how you draw attention to the main event picture at NXT. I thought this was great.
100% yes. I've been very critical of NXT the last few months, but this was tremendous. I thought it was so great. I really liked last night's show. I had a ball time just watching it. And I hope that Braun Breaker doesn't even come back to NXT. I feel like Vince saw him on Raw, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, that could be it. But
Steiner brothers are going into the Hall of Fame, and
yes.
It's all coming, man. It's all coming. Just I feel like Vince saw Braun Breaker on Monday, and he's like, Steiner's in the Hall of Fame. Braun Breaker is gonna dethrone Roman. It's all happening now.
All right. Well, hey, the report Brian's alluding to, by the way, came from our good friends over at Mat Men. Steiner Brothers, Queen Sharmell, rumored for the Hall of Fame, but WWE champion or former WWE champion Psycho Sid Vicious is expected to be inducted into the 2022 class during WrestleMania 38 weekend. So he would join Vader and The Undertaker. Oh, my 1995 WWF heart is a flutter looking at this class right now, Brian.
I'm going to have so much fun. I love Sid. I love Vader. This is going to be so cool. I can't wait for all. I hope, I know it's not the same since it's not on the WWE Network anymore, but I really hope they put together some great packages for those guys. I love Sid, Vader, and Taker. And that era, from like 95 to about 98, of WWE with those big men was so fun. Sid was over, man. Sid was the man.
Yeah. Love Sid. Well, lastly here, WWE Raw superstar Seth Rollins has made a couple of drastic changes to his official Twitter and Instagram account ahead of WrestleMania 38. He blacked out his Twitter header and profile photo. He changed his name to quotation marks, ... in between them on Tuesday. He's made similar changes over on Instagram. What do you think's going on here, B. Will? Obviously, him and KO came up short on Raw for the tag titles. Kevin Owens is going to get the big Steve Austin KO show at Mania. What is going on here with Seth Rollins?
I am a big Seth Rollins fan, and I've been quite disappointed with the way he's been booked. How do you not have a match for Seth Rollins to promote with a month in advance of WrestleMania? Like, this dude has been amazing on TV for the last, I don't know, several years. Even when he gets booked in something that's bad, he makes it good. And here you're not giving one of your best promotional guys an opportunity to promote WrestleMania for a month. He's going to get something probably next week, but what a shame. I feel like this is not the best use of Seth Rollins. But, God, if you're not watching Seth Rollins, you're missing out. This guy's so fun.
All right, Brian. Well, I want to thank you for joining me at the top of the show, talk all the news of the day. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. A lot of viewers today. I guess a lot of interest in Jeff Hardy, which is great to see, right? We're going to have a fun show here tonight on Dynamite. And with that, let's talk a little bit of AEW to wrap up the show here. We'll dive straight into the mailbag at Wink Daily. That's the account to follow if you want to vote in our daily polls. Today's poll question: who should AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page feud with next? About 100 votes in the last hour. About 60% of you all say CM Punk. That's who you want to see next with Page. Hook, 11.3%. Eddie Kingston, also 11.3%. 17.5% went to the write-ins, which we can get to here in just a second. But blowout, dude. Are you surprised about this? Do you want to see CM Punk Hangman Page next? Is that what's up next for you?
It seems like that's the most logical. I know AEW goes by their ranking system, so I think Powerhouse Hobbs is like the next in line. But
really,
I mean,
weird.
Punk defeating MJF has to leapfrog him a bit. I know they didn't put out their new rankings yet, so
dude,
I feel like
you could do 3 weeks. You could do 3 weeks with Hobbs, but nobody's going to believe that. You need some credible competition. Punk is obviously the guy for that. I agree with you. Gets him away from MJF. MJF and Wardlow can go off and do their thing, which is awesome. I like Gary Ingram here on Twitter. He made a case for Danhausen. I think Danhausen is still not – I don't know if he's wholly healed from injury yet or not, but even still, I think it's probably a little soon to work Danhausen into that main event. But a lot of people wrote in Miro. Steve Fox here at Steve Fox 368 is Miro due back soon. He'd be a great heel contender for the title. And, you know, if it's not Punk, a returning Miro would satisfy me. I would be totally fine with that.
We need somebody that shows us more another side of Hangman Page. I think that's always the best way to build your babyface champion is keep giving us heels that bring out a different thing in the babyface. You know, we've had him bleed so many different times. We had him do some more technical matches. You know, this match with Adam Page was a little bit more technical. Maybe we need to bring out some sort of emotion with him now and see a new side of Hangman Page. And Punk is great for emotion. So I think that's something there. And Miro is someone for physicality. And so those guys are great dance partners for him. I don't think Hobbs, although his record makes him a possible contender, I don't think he's someone that will bring out a new side of Hangman Page yet, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll give the final statement here to Doom Tribe T, who just let us all know Tony Khan has announced that tonight on Dynamite, Hangman Adam Page is going to defend against Dante Martin, and good for him. But I bet I'll put dollars to donuts that as soon as that match is over, somebody's coming out. They're going to beat up Hangman Page, or they're going to call him out. This is going to be a great match that ends with the setup to whatever is next for Page. That's just my opinion. I don't know if you disagree with me or not. So
I hope so, but also how exciting for Dante Martin. That's going to be so fun.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Agreed. All right, everybody, we're gonna wrap it up there for today. Another great show in the books. Thank you, B-Wo, for joining me for the hotel sessions, I guess we'll call them, for this week. I look forward to being back in my studio on Monday, but we got 2 more days of hotel wink dailies to go. So tomorrow, of course, come on back. I'll be joined by Paul Pratt, aka Polio Del Mar. We're gonna air more Media Scrum audio. You're gonna get Hangman Page tomorrow. You're gonna get to hear him talk about retaining at Revolution. Of course, if you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support us on whatever podcast platform you like. Support WrestlingInc.com, of course, and come back here tonight after the Wrestling Inc. podcast come back here tonight for the Wrestling Podcast after AEW Dynamite, talking about whatever happens on that show. B-Wo, anything you want to plug, promote, put over here before we wrap up the show today?
Oh man, in a lot of cities, things are starting to get opened up. So, we listen to the scientists to stay home. Listen to them to go out. If we're safe to go out, go out. Start to experience the world. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree with that, everybody. Go out there. Hey, EJ and I usually say eat a bagel. I have a bag of bagels right now. I'm going to eat it. Go eat a bag of bagels, people. I'm at Nick _Hausman. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked,